All right, on that note, let's then welcome our first corporate on the show. SJS Enterprises is the stock on our radar among the leading players in automotive, decorative, aesthetics industry. The stock is up nearly 33%, year to date. But importantly, the triggers for them would be higher allocation coming in from their chrome plating business, higher allocation coming in from their non-auto business as well, and the value of kits increasing as they add new clients. We do have with us Sanjay Thapar, who's the ED and CEO of the company, joining in. Thanks a lot, Sanjay, for joining us. The first time we're speaking in this year, so wish you, your team, a very happy 2023 as well.
Happy New Year to you, Mangalam. Yeah.
Thank you. Let's talk about business. How was this third quarter for you? Because auto sales numbers is what we have. They suggest it's a bit of a mixed bag. We've been speaking to consumer durable companies as well. They've been speaking about high inventory build-up, so low sales for them in terms of primary demand. How has the quarter been for you, and are you on track to meet your 25% growth this year?
Mangalam, so auto business is seasonal. So Q3, expectedly, they ramp up to the festive season. All the OEMs build inventory in their pipeline, and we had robust sales this year. So there is some amount of inventory correction that happens in the trade in the quarter three. So that's nothing unusual. So this is what happens. But what we see is a very strong demand uptick. What forecast that we have at the moment is that the next quarter is going to come back with a bang. And yes, we will be close to our guidance of 25% growth that we said at the beginning of the year. Though export markets continue to underperform, there is still not visibility, but the domestic demand has more than compensated for this. So we are quite optimistic that we will be in line with what we committed at the beginning of the year.
Okay, that's interesting. Mr. Thapar, hi, welcome to the show. The export market, I just wanted you to elaborate a little bit with regards to the trends there, because you had hopes of increasing it to around 25% of sales. I think it's around 13 to 15% currently. What are the trends that you're seeing, which you can share with us going into 2023? How much do you expect it to possibly grow, and where do you think the possible headwinds will emerge from?
So last year was bad for exports because of this uncertainty in Europe. So just to give you a perspective on my company, so almost 40 to 50% of our sales come from Europe, which was impacted. But then, as I said earlier, it was more than compensated by the domestic demand that we have. So on H2, we were actually tracking quite well. So in terms of, we had almost a 26.5% growth over last year. So Q3 is a subdued quarter, fundamentally in the export markets because of Christmas and also the inventory correction in the domestic market. But the guidelines that we have from the customers are that Q4 will be bad, coming back to exports. Long-term story remains intact. So we see that SJS is a very competitive player in the global markets. We already supply to all marquee customers. We are adding more products to our portfolio. So that looks very promising.
Right. And, that brings me to my next question with regards to your revenue mix itself. Mr. Thapar, we've been speaking about your business for a while now. You have said that some of the growth prospects for you would be an increasing contribution coming in from new gen products, which is currently around 15 to 17 odd percent. Going forward from this 25 to 30% of decals, 15 to 17% of new gen products, 30 to 32% of chrome plating, how does this revenue mix change? What do you see the most amount of traction in going forward?
So we will see that four-wheelers for us would grow very strongly, and new generation products with the four-wheeler application are finding a lot of traction. As I have informed earlier, the features that increase are consumers like more advanced features in their vehicles, and this leads to a demand in better and better aesthetic products. One area is, for example, is display sizes that happen in the cars. So these are increasing rapidly. With the capability that we have, we see ourselves as being a significant player in that market, especially when regard to components of the display. So we will not make the display. So that is a big growth vector. And the percentage of sales from export or the new gen products that we look at would be close to about 20 to 25% on a much increased revenue number that you would see over the next 3 years.
Okay. Mr. Thapar, I wanted to come back to the broader trend of you indicating that the domestic market is going to outperform. Just give us numbers. And the larger view is that, the economy might see some headwinds going into next year simply because the export markets might not be as robust. And overall, we are in a higher interest rate environment as well. Given all of those headwinds, you still expect the domestic market to outperform? And if you could compare it to what you probably envisaged or saw in 2022, the trends that you're seeing in the domestic market.
Yeah, so coming back to the first part of your question. So exports is, as I said, about 13% of our sales. And that is not the major mover at this moment. We expect this to grow to 25%. So the long-term story seems to be intact because we've tested our competitiveness and the number of products that we keep adding to our portfolio. Coming back to the domestic market, again, as I see, we see a lot of traction for this new generation, new vehicle launches that have happened. These are very feature-rich vehicles, which is good news for companies like us, which do a lot of aesthetic parts and can help embellish those vehicles. So we see strong demand coming in from those vehicles. And the new generation products also, the offtake for them, for these new generation, for the new vehicle launches is fairly strong. So we see a very good visibility in terms of what the outlook for these new parts that we are supplying to these vehicles.
Okay, so let me put it into, in a different context. Capacity utilization of your plants currently. What are they at? What do you expect it to probably go to in 2023?
So SJS at the Bangalore facility, we have 60% capacity utilization, 60 to 65% currently. We see this good enough for the next 2 years. We are, as I said earlier, growing at 25% year on year. So we expect that we should reach about 85 to 90% capacity utilization over the next 2 to 3 years. That's in Bangalore. At Pune, the new facility that we acquired, Exotech, we grew that very strongly. So 50% growth last year. This year, again, we are looking at a very robust growth. We've already announced to the market that we are investing in expanding capacity there. We've already earmarked close to about 100 crores for that expansion. And that will happen in a staggered manner over the end of this year and next year.
Right. On Exotech itself, you had a target of doubling your revenues over the next 3 years from the current facility itself. And add to that, you have new capex coming in as well, which would give you a little over 200 crores in terms of revenues. Those numbers are what you stick by now as well, right?
Absolutely. We have very, very strong traction and we will double those sales.
All right. And final question from my end. You said that you did have a lot of clients coming in. Mahindra Scorpio N was the other one as well, which was about 2,000 rupees per unit in terms of your sales to them. What are the other models that you've, gotten admitted to or you're supplying to right now? And what are the models that are doing well?
So Mangalam, I would not like to comment specifically on specific models with specific customers, but needless to say, so we are in a pole position as far as all these new generation vehicles come, and they're all doing very well. So Mahindra has grown tremendously, Tata is growing very strongly. So we see a great revenue realization, especially Mahindra is the key customer for Exotech, and they've really done very well in the market.
So does that mean that you are also on the verge of announcing any sort of acquisition? Because the last time we spoke, you said you have earmarked about 200 to 300 crores for some acquisition. Would that be in India? Would that be some facilities overseas, etc.?
So we are in discussions. I will announce it when we conclude the negotiations. But at the moment, we are in discussions for acquisition. And of course, we are very mindful of the fact that it should be a strategic acquisition that allows me access to...
FY23 or 2023?
Yeah, it's in the pipeline. Depends on where can we close the deal.
But 2023 it happens for sure, right?
That's the target, yes.
Okay, all right, Mr. Thapar, we're going to leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and speaking with us. So that's SJS Enterprises. That stock is down around 1.3% at this point in time. The company is extremely confident about the domestic growth. They expect it to surpass the export growth this time. They're not that confident about exports in the next 2 quarters odd, but they do expect it to pick up and the longer-term story to be intact, scouting for acquisitions. Maybe we could hear something in the near term. Need to take a short break, but on the other side, we'll put the focus on a whole host of stocks which are reacting to a lot of news flow. Stay tuned.